most content teams are failing. Not because of bad ideas, but because of their Franken-Stack system that breaks their story. So your brand lives here, your personas live here, your topics live here. This tool does one outline. This tool does research to create a brief. That tool or writer writes an article draft, and you're hoping they keep your brand and audience in mind. You're planning across way too many tools, and none of it talks to each other. The work drifts away from what the audience actually wants. And Floyi fixes that with the authority strategy flow. Your brand, your audience, your internal links, your research, your pillars, your topics, your topical map, your topical authority and visibility scores, and your competitive insights all stay in one closed loop system. But not every piece of content belongs inside a full strategy. Sometimes you need speed, guest posts, quick trend wins, one off ideas, or client requests. Until now, that work happened outside the system like this. Now, in Flowy, you could create briefs before. You can take them all the way to full article drafts inside the same workspace. This is briefs and drafts. It's a fast way to produce content outside the full strategy flow without losing your brand, your audience, your SERP intelligence, or your competitor analysis. Every brief still reflects your brand. Every draft still speaks to your audience. Nothing generic, nothing off message. So let me show you how it works. We'll start with, we already selected the brand, Mayo Clinic. We'll go ahead and put in a search query for our brand. Let's say, is exercise good if I have IBS? And go ahead and click fetch SERP data. And just so you know, while that's fetching, your brand's country and language defaults are always over here. If you ever want to change that, you can click customize, select your language, country, any specific location here, and that will apply just for this one brief that you're creating. So we're fetching the top 20 results, so we can choose to see which competitors are closest to what we're shooting for, what the user intent is. Then we're also looking at all the SERP features, any AI overviews that are present, and all of that data will be used to create your draft and your content. So let's take a look. Here are the organic results. You can see the AI overviews and the plethora of sources here. Knowledge graph. People also ask. So let's go ahead and pick a few. Let's say, let's find this one. Healthline. There's no SERP snippet found, but is there an article? Yes, there is. This is an article. So let's go ahead and select that. Let's go ahead and select those. Gastro Journal. Sure. Okay. So we selected 6. If you want to add any in here yourself, you can. You can always add your own manual competitors. Once we're done, we can head over to audience personas, and we can see what personas we've generated already from the strategy flow. So we've selected a brand foundation and the audience insights. Let's say we want Priya and Marcus. Then let's just go ahead and head over to keywords and entities next. You can add any here if you really wanted to. You could always add Mayo Clinic again, but the agents will probably already do that because you're giving them your brand foundation already. They know about your brand. They know about the target personas. Let's say you want to mention Cleveland Clinic. Let's say you want to mention Mayo Studies. So you can add one at a time. You can bulk add them. Let's head over to links. This link is always nice. Extract any external links that are used by competitors and include them in the brief. So this will look for the common external links. Internal links you'll have to add yourself. With the strategy flow, you could choose which links to link to that are most relevant. And then any external sources, any studies that you had that you could reference, and then you just hit generate brief. And it'll start generating, it'll start creating it. It'll take about 10 to 15 minutes depending on how large these articles are. It's going to analyze all your competitors, analyze all the SERP data, all the SERP features. And once it's done with the brief, it'll send you an email telling you that your brief is finished and you can come back and check it. Or you can start on a whole new brief, or you can come to history and wait for the brief here to finish. And here, current brief is empty, obviously, because it's still in progress. So we'll wait and come back to it when it's done. All right, so now that the brief is done, we can come back here and then we have a couple options. We can go ahead and start on our article draft, or we can load the brief. We could do some editing, review it real quick. So let's go ahead and do that first, because from inside this brief, you'll be able to go to content creation whenever you're ready. If you want to edit anything, you click the edit brief and then it'll come up and you can start editing however you want. So it gives you all the key details that we need in a really great brief. We have the strategic foundation, the target personas, the content approach. We have the writing guidelines, the content specifications, and this is where Floyi really differentiates itself from other content brief tools, because our agents will actually go look at the competitor content, read through and find all the similarities. We'll find all the core topics, all the key entities that are mentioned across our competitors that we want to make sure we mention as well for parity. Then it also looks for key opportunities to fill in content gaps that they don't offer. So we have a great opportunity here to provide the first practical implementation focused resource tailored to IBS subtype and real world use. Pairs evidence synthesis with a clinician vetted toolkit, everything. And this is where we'll really stand out from all these other competitors. And then these are the common keywords that were used. You can see our 3 keywords up here. And then if you had added any links, which we didn't do here, they would show up. And then each section has its own goal. Then you have a number of content points that the agents will use to create these sections. We have keywords for this section, and if you had links, links for this section and section word count suggestions. We have an in-depth content brief video to learn more about it. But for now, let's go ahead to content creation. And here we'll see the brief again. If you want to make any last minute edits, you can see the button is still free for you to do. You can change your strategic intent. Here, I think it's teach, but we can also find it here. The recommended, okay, they recommend structure. I guess because it combines evidence and it's more of a clinical guide. So I'm going to go with structure here. And our architect is very friendly with LLMs and machine learning ranking systems. Specialist agents, we have intro and key takeaways. Yes, we want them fact check and research. For something like this, YMYL, we definitely want agents to fact check, and we definitely want our agents to research sources to back up those fact checks or remove them. Research step basic sweep is good, and then we can just click create article draft. And then now it's started. We'll receive an email notification when the draft is finished. So we'll come back when the article is done. Great. Now that the article draft is completed, we can go and check it out. Let's see, we have our introduction, our key takeaways. Exercise can reduce symptom burden and improve quality of life for many people with IBS. Irritable bowel syndrome is a chronic disorder. So it gives the definitions, answers the questions right away. What is IBS? It gives a definition right off the bat. Great. More evidence, and you can see the sources now that are being used. So it used an NIH source there. Here it uses a physiotherapy source to source a controlled trial of Pilates exercises for women. So you can see all the different sources it has. You can see everything is super detailed. Everything is written in a structured and easy to read way for LLMs to process this information. So everything looks really great here. And these are the 3 different sources that it used. And then you could see the top SERP competitors that we used, and then the various search queries used by the researcher agents. You can see a lot of the specific things that they wanted to research and make sure they found data for, found sources for. Everything here is great. Now you have an article that's still branded to your brand voice, targeted to your audience. So you can always edit however you want and make saves. If you generate multiple drafts of this, you'll be able to see all the different versions you have. You can always copy it as a markdown or copy it as the HTML, depending on what CMS you're using. If you wanted to copy it to markdown, WordPress is great for it, and Google Docs is great as well, because Google Docs has you can right click and paste as markdown, and then you can always download it in various formats. You can change the title, meta description here by clicking the edit button. You can have a little editorial status. So if you're working with others, you can always say it needs a little editing and you're telling your team to take a look at this. You can approve it for publishing, and then you can mark it as published. These are great for one-off articles. Now, let's take a quick look at Topical Authority, and you'll see the difference here. With the authority strategy flow, it's your system for long-term planning, and that's where you control your internal links, your content briefs, your articles. You can measure your performance. You can do competitive analysis. You can see that we have 76 unique articles, but Science Direct has 214, and of course, NIH is going to have a whole lot more. So you can see how many you have in common, how many you're ranking in the top 10 and top 20. You can see your AI overview mentions, how many you're getting cited in. So the mentions are usually the ones where you're actually mentioned in the response text, in the AI responses, whereas citations are you're listed as a source. You have your traffic, your share of voice, your brand visibility, your presence. You can see all that here as well. Here you can choose your specific competitors, and you can see how they've changed over time. You have a table as well, quick view table. Instead of trying to look for certain competitors down here, you can choose top 100. And then the planner is where you do all your briefs here, your articles here, all in one place. So everything is easy to plan. So this is the blueprint for Topical Authority. Now, the new briefs and drafts, that's the fast lane. It's for work that doesn't need the full plan, but it still needs to sound like your brand and target your buyers. So you don't need 5 to 7 tools anymore. You don't need to rewrite article drafts that are off brand. You don't need to hope that your team stays consistent with its message as well. Briefs and drafts is available today for pro and agency users. Open briefs and drafts and try it yourself on your next piece of content. You'll see how fast and aligned the content can be when everything stays connected.